The Wright brothers flew for the first time in 1903. That is the official story of human flight. But ancient Sanskrit texts, written thousands of years before 1903, describe flying machines in extraordinary mechanical detail. Not poetic metaphors, mechanical detail. Mercury-powered engines, pilot training manuals, reconnaissance cameras, energy weapons. And in 1895, 8 years before the Wright brothers, an Indian scientist built one based on these ancient instructions, and it flew. This is the story the history books never told you. The Samarangana Sutradhara, a Sanskrit treatise written in the 10th century, devotes over 200 stanzas specifically to describing the construction and control of Vimanas. One passage reads, "Strong and durable must the body of the Vimana be made, like a great flying bird of light material. Inside, one must put the mercury engine with its iron heating apparatus underneath. By means of the power latent in the mercury, which sets the driving whirlwind in motion, a man sitting inside may travel a great distance in the sky. A mercury engine with an iron heating apparatus, creating a driving whirlwind for propulsion." In the 10th century, describing technology from even older texts. The Ramayana describes the Pushpaka Vimana, built by Vishwakarma under the orders of Brahma, stolen by the demon king Ravana, and used by Rama himself. Moving at the will of the pilot, rising to higher altitudes on command. The Mahabharata goes further. A sphere-shaped Vimana created on the winds, produced by mercury, capable of generating an enormous ray like the sun and making noise like the thunder of a storm. A sphere-shaped craft, mercury-powered, firing energy weapons. And then there is this, a photographing mirror underneath the craft, a reconnaissance camera on the underside of an ancient flying machine. Modern military aircraft have these. Ancient India described it first. The Vaimanika Shastra contains 32 secrets describing how Vimanas work. The pilot must know the aircraft structure, must know how to drive the craft, must know how to take off, must know how to maneuver without crashing. That is a pilot training manual, written in Sanskrit, thousands of years before aviation existed. In 1895, 8 years before Kitty Hawk, an Indian scientist named Shivkar Bapuji Talpade built a flying machine, not based on Western engineering, based entirely on instructions from ancient Sanskrit texts. He called it Maruchaka. It traveled 1,800 feet before coming back to Earth. Organizer witnessed by a large crowd in Bombay, reported in the Kasari newspaper. Then it disappeared from history. No international recognition, no further research, no preservation of his aircraft. The Wright brothers flew in 1903 and received full credit for inventing human flight. Talpade flew 8 years earlier, using knowledge from ancient India, and the world chose to forget him. Here is where this gets impossible to dismiss. Modern researchers speculate that mercury plasma could in theory generate lift through electromagnetic propulsion, a concept echoed in classified military research today. The reference to mercury aligns with its known properties as an excellent electrical conductor, essential for magneto-hydrodynamic drive systems. YouTube NASA has studied plasma propulsion. The US military has researched magneto-hydrodynamic drive. Both concepts align exactly with what the ancient texts describe. If true, it suggests a forgotten understanding of plasma dynamics thousands of years ahead of its time. YouTube and the original Sanskrit texts, the Rig Veda, the Mahabharata, the Samarangana Sutradhara, have never been subjected to formal aerodynamic analysis by any government, anywhere in the world. Why not? Vimanas were not just transport vehicles. The Mahabharata describes aerial battles between Vimanas using weapons that fired concentrated energy. One passage describes soldiers throwing themselves into rivers to escape heat, hair and nails falling out, pottery shattering without cause, birds turning white. Those are not poetic descriptions. Those are the precise symptoms of acute radiation sickness. We covered the Jodhpur radiation zone and the Brahmastra weapon in a previous video on this channel. The connection is impossible to ignore. References to battles using a fantastic array of weapons and aerial vehicles are common in all the epic Indian books. One even describes a Vimana battle on the moon. Gulf news. You can dismiss the moon battle as mythology, but you cannot dismiss the Mercury engine description. You cannot dismiss the pilot training manual. You cannot dismiss the 1895 flight of Pushpaka. In 2010, the Indian government's Department of Science and Technology funded a formal study of the Vaimanika Shastra, specifically to determine whether the technical descriptions were aerodynamically viable. The study was conducted by researchers at the Indian Institute of Science. Their conclusion: the designs as described in the text would not fly using those exact specifications. But here is what that study did not address. It tested the designs as written in the Vaimanika Shastra, a text that scholars believe was compiled in the early 20th century from older original sources. If the compiler misunderstood or incorrectly transcribed the original ancient specifications, then testing the compiled version tells you nothing about what the original described. The original texts, the Samarangana Sutradhara, the Rigveda, the Mahabharata, have never been subjected to the same aerodynamic analysis, and they never have been, by any government, anywhere in the world. Why not? In 1903, two brothers from Ohio flew a machine for 12 seconds. The world called it the birth of aviation. In 1895, an Indian scientist flew a machine for 1,800 feet using knowledge from texts thousands of years old. The world forgot his name. And in ancient Sanskrit manuscripts that most of the world has never read, there are descriptions of craft with mercury engines, reconnaissance cameras, pilot manuals, and energy weapons that modern aerospace engineers find uncomfortably familiar. Whether Vimanas were real aircraft or the greatest imagination in human storytelling, ancient India described in precise mechanical detail technology the rest of the world would not develop for thousands of years. That deserves a better answer than, "It is just mythology." Subscribe and hit the bell. New story on Buried Chronicles every week. Next week, we go underwater to find a city that should not exist.